Good people, back yet again. It's not really for y'all, it's for Judge. Because, Mr. Judge, you know that these papers that these people said on it, it's a lie. I just got it in the mailbox today and I was, reviewing it and seeing what was going on about the petition to court and what was said and all the rest of those stuff. Now, one thing that Mr. Wyatt needs to understand is when he put in this petition that somebody came and kicked in my door at 3 o'clock in the morning, he got to understand that the police officer actually have the exact time that this happened. My children wouldn't have been up at no 3 o'clock in the morning, not all sitting in the living room. Okay, that right there don't make sense. As well as he said that he agreed to giving me marijuana. Once again, my windshield to my car was busted, so I couldn't go anywhere. He said he as well took a drug screen and he just had marijuana in his system. But if he's the person that's giving me marijuana and I wasn't able to get it from nowhere else and methamphetamines were in my system, it shows in a video on that Facebook page of Dallas coming to the door and passing me the marijuana through the door. I wasn't able to go anywhere else, and I had my youngest son with me in the house all weekend. There, matter of fact, it's plenty of videos showing that I was at home, didn't have any communication with nobody else. So when the lady from TPS decided to come to my house, I told her exactly everything that I'm telling you. If I didn't go anywhere else to get anything else or any other drugs or marijuana, then what would you think? It didn't just pop up in my system out of nowhere. Now, one thing I also told you, the person that he lives with, her and her son's father are known meth addicts. Yes, they both were. Her youngest child, and where they go get the marijuana, that's the youngest child's grandmother. So no, I don't trust none of that at all. Now I shouldn't have been trusting them to begin with, but I'm just saying they ain't telling you the full story. Now you got to show background. Okay, they're not giving you the background. They just giving you the little bit they want to tell you. They're not giving you the background. She sit there and say she hasn't did methamphetamines, but he, Mr. Wyatt, told me out of his mouth that him was she and the youngest child's father did methamphetamines. They were homeless. They were sleeping in their van. He allowed her to come and sleep in his hotel room with him when he was in the hotel room together, and so on. Now, I would have known any of that information had he not told me. So me and her never had a conversation to sit down and talk about that. So I'm just trying to figure out how in the world all the rest of my TPS reports of when they didn't ever came to my house. There's only been one drug in my system, which I've never sat here and told nobody that I didn't smoke marijuana. Never. Okay. So with that being said, I'm just gonna leave that right there at where it is. Go ahead and search his counterpart or whoever he's with. Matter of fact, go search all my children's fathers and the people that they with and see what type of lifestyle they have lived, what problems they have had, what type of arrest record they have had. Because I guarantee you, besides, Mr. Wyatt, the rest of them have been incarcerated before for other things, drug related, I'm quite sure, and all the rest of it don't mix. So anyway, I'm sitting here and I'm reading it. And the 3 o'clock in the morning thing is what really got me because it wasn't 3 o'clock in the morning at all. Because right when the situation happened, Mr. Freeman is the one who takes my phone and asks for my children at home. I lied and said no. I'm keep on saying this. I lied and said no. By the time he asked me to open the back door, I went downstairs, opened the back door. I sat on the couch for 2 seconds, literally, just to ask my children what they was watching. Went back upstairs. By the time I reached my bed, my front door was being kicked in. Right. So my whole thing is that was very out of the box for him to ask me were my children at home, especially because it was Sunday. And as long as I've ever been talking to Mr. Freeman, he knows my children's schedule like clockwork. Everybody else knows that. That was the only time I was able to spend with him, Friday through Sunday. And he had to leave at a certain time on Sunday because my children was getting home. So if we were already in a relationship, supposedly, even though he was cheating the whole time, whatever, and he was living with me, and our son was here, then why would he ask me a question like that? Now you got to understand, Judge, I did tell you that he drinks, and when he drinks, he tells on himself. He told me that he had a conversation with his family members about some insurance. When everybody keep on saying it's supposedly money, if it's not no money, then why do I have documentation and proof of the insurance policy? Hmm? Why was my father not, he wasn't married, and my father don't have no other children besides me. Not to mention that the house on 713 North Holly Street was actually left to me, but it was sold under my doggone nose because nobody even told me that I owned the home. My mother passed away when I was 19. So that means I was actually of age to take on the home, but nobody told me about it. I had to find that out through my own sources, whatever. So I didn't finish reading it, and I don't think I'm going to because I don't want to get irritated. Because when I read that Mr. Freeman said that the only reason why I was keeping my son away from him is because of an altercation with his other child's mother, that's 100% a lie. 100% a lie. And I'll tell him to his face, he's lying. He never opened up his mouth and even asked nor text me about getting his son but one time. One time, and that was in February. You got to understand. I must say, not even a whole week or two before that, I had came and seen him at his job. Me and my youngest children came to see him at his job. It had nothing to do with a whole relationship, but it's just the fact that that man was lying behind the scenes the whole doggone time, and then 2 weeks later you want to say, can you bring me my son? And I pop up to your job, and then here you are with a whole person that you've been talking to the whole time you was in my home. It didn't have nothing to do with nothing besides the fact that I didn't know that person, and I wasn't finna allow him to be riding around in the car with an individual that I didn't know. Like, you're not finna take my child with somebody you don't know. That's just how it is. Now y'all can say that that's being petty. No, at the end of the day, both of my children's fathers actually knew of my son's father. They knew about him. I made sure that they knew about him, even when he was just sitting on the porch, even when he was just coming by. I made sure they knew about him. At least they physically know who the person is that's around their child. You're not finna just take my 1 year old child and just be riding around with somebody that I don't even know. And if it wasn't an issue, then that woman could have easily said, my name is so and so. I have been dating. I had to ask the questions. Well, she knew that he was actually in a home with me prior to this situation anyway. So all the stuff that she was telling you about, she knew what she was doing, Judge. She really did. She knew that he was already living with me. She knew about the child. She knew that I didn't know nothing about her, and she tried to make it seem like she was fearful of her life. Now, Judge, I'm quite sure you got a wife or a woman that you have dealt with. Another woman that's sneaking with a man behind another woman's back, they gonna be a little scared. They gonna be scared because that's not how you supposed to do it at all. That man was supposed to cut off one relationship and then start talking to you. Now, they made it messy by doing the most. Now, I ain't got no issue with it. I don't care. It was just the fact that he was just lying to me the whole time that he was in my house and not paying no bills, not helping me. Judge, I told him to get our son one day and take him downstairs with him so I can get a break. My son, that was not even 1 year old, fell off of the couch onto the floor on these hard concrete, the laminate floor, whatever, is wood laminate, but it's concrete up under here. My son that was not even 1 year old hit the floor, his head on the floor. Mr. Wyatt actually can attest to that as well, because I told him about it. He said that he don't know nothing about my lifestyle or my home when this man was at my home 3-4 times a day, every day. He knew that I didn't go nowhere. It's not like when he came to drop off my children multiple times a day, I was gone or it was other people at my house. So just it wasn't none of that. So he was lying again in whatever his testimony was. Allegedly. I don't know, whatever. You know, this is what was going on. So at the whole time he was actually talking, Mr. Freeman was talking to this other girl. He didn't care nothing about my son. And that's what pissed me off in general. Like, you let my son hit the doggone floor. I had to run all the way down the steps. It's like 12, 13, 14 steps or something like that. It could be. I don't know. But it's a lot of them. To get my son out the floor, by the time I even got downstairs, Judge, and he was sitting right next to my son or laying right next to my son, he still didn't get up to pick up my son. So you got to understand, the custody that you put my children in, you don't know what these men did, even in front of me. When it comes to my children, they don't respect my kids. They don't, even though these children are theirs, then they don't respect, they don't. do what they supposed to be doing. Point blank period. And that, I don't know how else to say it. They do not. Mr. Freeman lied. It was not because of a situation between me and the person that's alleged to take the nude pictures of my 9-year-old daughter. It had nothing to do with that. He did not communicate with me at all because he didn't want to tell me that he was cheating the whole time and now he's with somebody else. Which, I mean, in court, y'all heard that for yourself. He left my house in January and he moved in with her in February. And like I said, I talked to the lady at partnership about it too, and she said that means he was cheating the whole time. And I was like, yes, ma'am. Yeah, that's pretty much what it was. He never reached out to me about getting his child. Not one time. So he lied as well. Um, and then, like I said, that man ride around and be doing cocaine and stuff like that. So no, I didn't even like him having the child that was not his. He was watching my oldest daughter at one point in time when I was working. Yes, Judge, I was working when I was pregnant. I was walking back and forth to work when I was pregnant with our child. I was catching the bus, actually going to doctor's appointments where he was still laying in my bed, not doing nothing. Neither one of the men actually worked and did nothing when they was with me. But then all of a sudden they can actually start working. So that kind of teased me off too, because I'm taking care of everything, all responsibilities. Mr. Freeman got upset because I stopped allowing a lot of people to come by my house because a lot of people are never at my house. It's always me and my children. When I started talking to him, it was him and a whole bunch of his homeboys and a lot of people that he just wanted to, oh, they finna pull up. Oh, they finna pull up. When I don't like people pulling up to my house, I don't even like people to know where I stay, all that other stuff. Now, he told you in court that he busted my car windshield because he locked my keys in the car. That's not the story that I heard. You got to understand, the streets talk. And what they said was he was trying to cut off a situation in a work relationship that he had with the individual that he's with currently, and it did not go as smooth as he thought it would. He did not want her to snitch and let me know that he had already been dealing with her previous to the knowledge that I had of him dealing with her. And that's just what happened. And my car windshield got busted. You got to understand, none of this happened prior to my son's father, which is Mr. Freeman, coming in my life, him discussing any insurance policy or anything with his family. Now, I know I'm not the smartest, and I know I'm not the brightest crayon in the box, but any two times you go and talk to another party about somebody's supposed money that they're supposed to be getting, then all of a sudden their doors kicked in, that screams, you know, something just not right there. hmm Mr. Wyatt knew about the money as well. I told him about it soon because I'm an open person like that. I'm not gonna sit here and just be lying. I told Mr. Wyatt, since we are still legally married, then I'll let you take on the Section 8 voucher so you won't not have a place for my children to come when it's time. Like you said, it's 3 bedrooms that they have currently, and it's 8 children in that house currently. Now, I have a 4 bedroom, not too much bigger, but it's more space than a 3 bedroom. Um, Judge, I'm still mad because I gave these people my couch, like voluntarily gave them my couch because I went to their house and the couch that they had was just really just nasty, like extremely nasty. And I was just like, well, hey, I'm not really using this couch. Y'all want it? I watched yes, I'm just like that. And then try to make it seem like it's something else. And then how the word this man gonna say he don't know what's going on in my life or around my home or my surroundings when he's here every day. Every day. The only time Mr. White was not at my home was on Saturdays. That's the only day, on Saturday, because he was always at my house on Fridays because they had to pick up his kids. My children had to come by. They got to change clothes, all the rest of that. Saturday, he probably was not at my house. Sunday, he was at my house. So it was only one day out of the week that Mr. White was not at my house. So he can't say that he don't know what was going on in my house because he was always here. Always here. Always. It bugged me, really. It really bugged me that he was here all the time. Like, it was getting to the point where it was a little irritating, but I couldn't really do nothing about it because he was coming to pick up and drop off the children. And even when he did drop my children off at 6 o'clock, I didn't stop my children from calling them or calling him. After a certain time, I was like, you call your dad to tell him good night. Now everybody know that's me. I'm gonna always say that because the relationship has nothing to do with me and him. It has something to do with him and his children. So me being the mother, I'm gonna always be like, you call your daddy. You make sure. I don't care how I feel about him. I'm gonna always say that. even with me and Eric. Now he know that it's times where I done called him and passed my daughter the phone. 2 years old. She don't even know how to talk for real. She babbling, and I'm just, here go your daddy. Talk to your daddy. And I hang up the phone. Now, our relationship ended up getting rocky because of Mr. Freeman. Mr. Freeman got upset that my daughter, Mr. Hester's daughter, um, Mr. Hester was calling not to just check on his daughter, but all my children, because he was previously in all of their lives and had been there for a while. Got to understand that I was dating him for about 2 years before um our daughter was conceived. So he was already around for all my children. Mr. Freeman did not like that at all. Now, I don't have nothing to do with none of that at all. I really don't, because I don't really care about how men feel, because, they always try to show they, I don't know, colors after you stop dealing with them. Yes, Mr. Wyatt did it as well. He would do anything to get up under Mr. Hester's skin when it came to me and my children. Yes, always. Um, But out of all three of them, Mr. Hester is the most stand up guy, as you can see in the courtroom. No, I don't have any communication with him. Yes, he does stay right down the street. No, we don't communicate. We don't be around each other. We don't chill with each other because of all of this mess. Seriously. I allowed my son's father to push away somebody that was actually there for me and my children, right or wrong. And it never had to do with just relationship. Like when I first started talking to Mr. Hester, it wasn't even a relationship thing about it. He did not like how me and my children were being treated when it comes to their own father, aka my soon to be ex-husband. Um, he sat down and he told me he felt like the only reason why I'm being done the way I was being done is because I didn't have anybody to stand up for me. Because my father had passed, my mother had passed, my brother had passed. Like anybody that was really there for me had passed away. And yes, my family did know the abuse that me and my children were going through. I did talk to them about it. And the only thing that I heard was, but Shelly, he goes to work every day. That's all my family cared about. They didn't care about the mental abuse that was going on around me and my children at all. That kind of just skipped their brain. But anyway, I'm not gonna read the rest of these papers because just like the lies that they said on that order protection paper, these are lies too. Especially at 3 o'clock in the morning. So my door was kicked in at 3 o'clock in the morning. He had to come get my kids at 3 o'clock in the morning. Everybody. So what children doing? What my kids doing up at 3 o'clock in the morning? Everybody. And then it was a Sunday. School the next day. So my children was just up at 3 o'clock in the morning, and somebody came and kicked in my door. But they still not understanding that it's explaining everything that I already said. It was a setup on me and my children's. Well, my kids weren't supposed to be there, but on my life. Yeah. And I'm gonna keep saying it that way because why in the world would this man go talk to somebody about some insurance policy money that I was supposed to be getting for my kids? Why would he go tell his family about that? Why would he ask me if my children were at home? Why, when I said no, my children was not at home, why was my door being kicked in? Exactly. And if Mr. Freeman actually cared that much about his child, then why would he leave his child and me in the house that next day, all day, by ourselves? And he was gone in my vehicle that I paid for, my money, my title, my vehicle, gone all day. Didn't call, didn't check up on us, didn't see if we were okay or nothing. So that was one of the main reasons why I decided to keep his son away from him, mainly because he didn't actually reach out to try to get his child at all. Like I said, the only communication I had with him was what I was gonna do for, I call him Beans, but his nickname is June. What we're gonna do for June's birthday. I told him. He did not show up. Mr. Wyatt in his order of protection also lied because he said this has been going on since February. Dallas was seen in February at the hotel that me and my children were at, coming by every day with food and marijuana. Yep, he was the one that was still bringing it to me because my car windshield was busted out. Well, it wasn't at that present moment, but I had my children and I wasn't finna travel around, for marijuana. He was coming to drop my kids off from school and he was the one that was bringing it to me. So from February up until May, Dallas was mainly the person that I was getting marijuana from. And where they get their marijuana from is his girlfriend's youngest child's father's mother, my bad, let me put it in emphasis, the grandmother of her youngest child. Now, the father of that child, as well as Dallas's girlfriend, has been said that they do methamphetamines. And just so happened that's what was seen in my system when I voluntarily gave my urine to Miss CPS worker. hmm I'm not gonna keep on letting them try to sweep that under the rug at all. Especially the fact that she said she was gonna come and give me a drug screen, and the sheriff was supposed to after I got the order of protection, and there was no order of protection against me and my children. Right. So yeah, I went and got my children from the Bethlehem Center up the street and brought my kids home. I called the police because I wanted the rest of my children to come home as well. But the thing is, why did Dallas keep my child away from me that's not his? And two, Judge, this is very, very important. Legally, if I'm still married to Dallas R. Wyatt, legally, every child that I have is supposed to be in his custody until there is a DNA test proving that paternity is not his. So when I said in court, why did they make it to they had to get court ordered and had to see if Mr. Hester is actually the father of my daughter? Why didn't they do that when it comes to Mr. Freeman? If I'm still legally married to Mr. Wyatt. Yep, that means every child that I have is supposed to be in Wyatt. Well, not necessarily, because I make sure that when my children come out, the man that I know I had my kids by sign a birth certificate, because they know just as well as I know who I sleep with. Even if they just not present in the home, they know that I'm always at home. Every last one of these men know I'm always at home. It ain't so, well, she got a lot of different men coming in and out her house. No, that's never been the case. I don't even have a lot of different friends coming in and out my house. I don't have a lot of nobody coming in and out my house. And they all know that. Been like that forever. I don't like people, especially not in my home. And you can't be in my house by a certain time. And that's the issue that me and Mr. Freeman used to have. Because I'm just like, wait a minute, my kids got to get ready for school. Why you got all these people, all these males around my house, and y'all just sitting around and stuff? And they used to get mad because when he would bring his male friends around my house, I'm just like, hey, I need you to move this dresser. Can y'all, can you help do this? They thought that I was really bossy, but I mean, at the end of the day, why in the world would y'all just be around and y'all can't help do nothing? I'm the one that's keeping this house together, and y'all just because he's here, y'all just want to be around here. That does not work for me. Um, I had never dealt with a relationship like that before in my life. But anywho, I only got to the second page, Judge, and I'm not reading the rest of it because most of it is probably lies. I might look at it, I might not, but the 3 o'clock in the morning, that was definitely a lie. Go look at the police report. Um, if you don't know the number, I'm pretty sure I got the video down below of all the police reports that I have made. Go look at the video down below and get the numbers, and you'll see what time the officers came to my house. It sure was not 3 o'clock in the morning. Now, once again, you said, what does the insurance policy have to do with all of this? None of this happened before this insurance paper came to my home. None of it. My car had never been vandalized. I've never had no issues with anybody. Nobody has ever came to my house. Never had any issues with nobody over social media. None of that until this insurance policy came about. Now, the biggest question about this insurance policy is when it comes to my family, the reason why I had to end up getting a lawyer. My father has been passed on for 11 years. I just received the paper last year. Now, they had already received it long time ago. They already, it's a lot to it. I can't tell you everything over YouTube. You'll just have to get the paperwork and see it for yourself. But they were already collecting on money from my father that was supposed to be coming to me because once again, he was not married and I'm his only child. And he only has 8 grandchildren, which are my kids. Period. Nobody's supposed to get anything that belongs to Shelton LeBron Christian besides me, Shelly Charmaine Christian, aka Shelly Charmaine Wyatt, however you want to, whatever, and his grandchildren. So all of that ties into this situation. My main thing is, and a lot of people's main thing is, go look in the juvenile court records, not juvenile court, but the child support records with me and Mr. Wyatt, and go look and see if the judge then ordered Mr. Wyatt to get a divorce years ago. particularly I would say 3 years ago, if I'm not mistaken. 3 years ago. So why hadn't he done it? That's when he completely stopped working in general, just stopped working, stopped doing anything. 3 years ago, when the judge told him to get a, you know, divorce. Why would he try to physically stay connected to me if he's been in a relationship with another woman for 3 years? It has to do with money. That's the only reason why somebody's not gonna legally want to separate from you, all because of money. Mm-hmm. Uh-huh. Go look at Mr. Wyatt's parents and what they left and who they put in their will. Because it's me and my children in that will too. And that's the reason why he didn't want to separate, because he didn't want me to know about that as well. A whole bunch of other stuff. But the kicker was Mr. Freeman didn't want me to know that him opening up his mouth telling folks about some life insurance policies is what got his really, really criminal family, because they are really street criminals, to come kick in my door. The proof is in the pudding, especially in them text messages. But that's it. Bye.